In children on the autism spectrum, we have seen they have quite a bit of sleep issues. So how do you cater to that, ma'am?
My son, he go to sleep 12 o'clock once, and he again get up at 3 o'clock in the night and started playing very fresh. Again he go to sleep. So like there's a disturbed sleep. This will affect their means growing things. So I realized that when you go to sleep, you have to make a habit to the child. Make a very dark room, not more lights, and use some calming musics.
Ma'am, what do you incorporate while designing your room to cater to sleep?
It's important that there's natural light coming in. Maybe not during that evening time you need it, but then there's at least natural light falling in the room throughout the day. And then maybe having soft lights in the night when they are sleeping, or making the room dark when they're sleeping. So this, and then sometimes to include in, like if they require sensory inputs in the night to sleep in. So like a blanket, or maybe stuffed animals, or if the child is comfortable with that, and the bed sheets and all. So all that to include these little elements. But yes, definitely there are differences because each child is unique. So that way we then customize it according to the child's need.
So welcome both of you to the Dolly Show today. And yes, one more new topic that we will be discussing. And we have our professional and our parent with us. We have Nidhi ma'am, who is a early childhood educator. And we have our parent. So let's discuss. So first, Nidhi ma'am, what what was that inspiration that got you into first early childhood education and also parent empowerment?
So basically, I actually got into it accidentally. That's nice. And just chose these subjects like child development, child psychology for my graduation. And then I started studying and got interested while I was working. And then I was really curious to know and then get into the space of early childhood education. And parent empowerment, it just comes in basically from my own journey because I have a daughter who's 4.5 years old. And that journey has kind of taught me many things. And I realized that as an educator, it was very different. And now when I'm a parent, it's very different. So a lot of myths have been burst. And it's been entirely a different journey altogether now.
Wow, that's very interesting. Yes, ma'am. Your journey, how did it start? What were the red flags you saw in your son and how is it going?
So my son Aradhya, when he was 1.5 years old,
Why?
that time I started realizing something, some symptoms are very abnormal with him. One day, what happened now when he is 1.5, I came back from office and I saw some 8 to 9 months old girl. She's saying, waving hands and say bye bye to her relatives and friends. That time I realized she's so much younger than him, and she's saying bye bye and waving hands, but my still not doing it. He's not doing it. He's not talking or looking at the people. That time I realized something is means something is there with him. So later on, what happened? No, around December 2019 and start of the 2020,
The COVID time.
that time he is 1.5 years old. So then I started. I'm searching through some internet, Facebooks, and that I saw some videos which are showing what is normal, what is abnormal signs in the kids. So that means roaming around yourself, like taking turns, then holding others' hands to point, not your hand. Then not responding to names. That I observe with him. So I told my this pediatrician when I go in the month of February 2020, said that I found this signs with my child. So he tell me wait for 2, 3, 4 months. Otherwise, we go for the assessments. Then after that, in March 2020, the lockdown has come. So we have to stay at home. So what had in that period, no, I had started taking out what he got the toys for his birthday. So in that shape making toys, put insert the shapes in that sections on the that sound lightning toys that I started giving him in that. So after when the lockdown comes down and the started, so that time we do assessment in our nearby hospital. So they that time he's not 3 years fully completed. So they given the means result as a at risk for autism, and they suggest us to do occupational therapy and speech therapy. So like this we started that.
But you were pretty quick enough to point the red flags.
Yes, yeah. But means every parent should also look at their child, because if that stage you miss, no, it is very late.
Very crucial.
Because it is a crucial point. This means your son's or daughter, whatever it is, the child, their brain will develop by 6 or 8. So you don't have that much time to make him learn new things.
Correct.
So we have to early trace it. It is a very good.
The key. Yes. Got it. Great. Thank you so much for that, ma'am. Your beautiful initiative, Ninos. We want to know about it. How did you start it? What inspired you?
So basically, Nino's was just started. It also was like a journey, I would say. So initially, we started doing like parent toddler programs and then parenting workshops and planning curriculum for preschool companies and all. And then after when my daughter was born, I got into a space of designing playrooms for kids in home setup because we were moving our house and I realized I tried getting in touch with few people who could do room designing and all, but that wasn't meeting the need of what was my daughter's like need, the developmental need basically. Then I realized there is something lacking. And then I got into it and then started actually studying a little and got deep into this part and then this is like basically my own journey of designing like playrooms and kind of self-learned kind of a thing, yes. And so that's how then it's now part of the Nino's this thing to design playrooms for kids and plus like sleep rooms also, which helps them to play for long hours.
So, a very interesting topic, which is close to my heart as well, designing rooms for children on the autism spectrum. What are the elements that you need to take into consideration? Let's, discuss it one by one. So, first one being visual clutter. So, what is that, and how do you incorporate that when you are designing a room?
So basically, a visual clutter is more like where the walls are very busy and it's too colorful, or it could be there are the toys too much on display. So, in that kind of a space for a child to focus is not possible because what will happen? Child is distracted here, there, and all. So, this is more like a visual clutter. So, keeping now that point, how do you reduce it, or how while we designing a playroom, what do we keep in mind? So, there we keep in mind that the toys and the other things are stored inside and the children have that kind of a probably a memory where they know if they want something they can take it, or if not the adult can assist them and then they can take out those toys, play with it and then put it back in. So outside there's no visual clutter, the walls are plain, so then it's easier for children to focus on.
Okay, for that matter, what kind of furniture do you put in these rooms?
So basically, I think so the furniture while we're choosing for is most important is the storage of the toys, because for the first 7 years of the child's life, play is so important. So it's important that that the toys are stored so well that the child can access. Yes, there because the children on the spectrum are a little different and unique. So maybe that for some children assistant would be required, and some maybe by then they've mastered that skill that they can remove their toys, keep that thing in, because the toys for them is something very important, which probably they play with and connect. But at the same time, we're not saying not to have too many toys. It's just few, but these are like more open-ended toys which engage the child to play for long hours. So keep the storage part. Then the second is to have furniture pieces picked up, which is more towards the natural wood, which the natural, like maybe like pine wood to use in, because then that's more soothing and which the child sees in the nature. But not to have too many like colors or laminations put on it and all. So try taking natural kind of a material. And the second thing is to keep in mind like the furnitures are round, there are no sharp edges. Plus, like sometimes what happens is you have, suppose, a chest drawer or you have a cupboard for a child to keep the clothes in, and the child can remove the clothes and all. So even the knobs don't have to be very fancy, because sometimes our focus is so much on the aesthetic part, the functional part is just gets diluted or it doesn't hold any. So I think so that's something very important while we are designing a play space for a child.
So I do know there are different zones that you also need to take care of. So what exactly is that and how do you incorporate that while designing the room?
Talking about zones, so basically zones are kind of based on the developmental need of the child, which is like a reading books or movement or fine motor skills, and that's required while we're doing a playroom designing. The reason is that gives them structure to the child and clarity, and it's easier to transition, and there are certain boundaries which are set. Like suppose if you're doing a sensory play, the child knows there's a sensory table, they do it in there, so then it's easier to clean up the mess after that. Or it's like, so, or either they're doing it in the bathroom. So then, even if it's get dirty, it's easy to clean. So there are these certain things, the zones which are there, which helps the child to understand a reading. So they have to sit in a reading corner, maybe, or in a read like space where they could read a book,
Wow.
but not sit there maybe doing a homework. Maybe they need a table and a chair to sit there because they need to focus. The back has to be upright. So that way, there are these 4, 5 zones which we do, which is like movement zone. So movement, it depends. If you have access to an outdoor space, then we don't do too much movement. We do a few elements because it's raining outside or now like the AQI, it's so high, so the kids are not. So that you need a little movement because the kids really require movement. So the movement zone is created. Then you have the sensory or the art and craft. So that's something which we, depending on the age of the child. If the child is very young, like 4 years, 5 years, then that space is created which is above the child's reach. It's away. So these are little small things which we keep in mind while doing it. But what happens, it's easier for a parent or an adult to do this, like the whole thing, because it's designed in such a way. And there are things like, suppose the toys which are constructive toys, like maybe Magna tiles or Legos or like other wooden blocks and all, that's kept at child's level. So then it's easy for a child to just pick up, or maybe like these plastic animals which you get. So they can just pick it up, start playing. They don't require an adult. They master their own space, kind of. There are 5 zones. So we keep that in mind while we're designing the playroom. And the reason to do it is that gives structure to the child and little clarity. And so, and these are based on the child's need, like developmental need, which is reading, then imaginative play, constructive, and sensory, which is sensory and art and craft, and movement. So now, while we do this space, it gets how much and what all differ from each child to child's need and requirement, and depending on what are they on the level on the spectrum. So according to that, we do it. So the reading books is very good habit, which helps for the language communication skill. So you could have like a nice small cozy corner where the children could sit and read. Then a sensory, so that helps the child like to do sensory play, like maybe a sand, beans, and pastas. So these are pasta, the dry uncooked pastas.
Yeah.
And maybe shells, because as we're close to the beach, so they can pick up shells. So all this can be kept in a sensory like boxes or something, containers we can store it in, and then child can play to get that little experience, sensory inputs for them. And then there is this art and craft related basic materials which you keep in for the child. And then you have the movement zone. So movement zone, depending if the child has access to outdoor space, then that's the best to do it. But if you don't have, then yes, a little movement zone is created because it's an odd hour. You can't take the children down, or it's raining and now the AQI thing. So all that is a little movement for the child. And then the which one is this? Constructive, which is constructive is more like blocks or magnetiles and all. And then is the imaginative play, which is kitchen, like a kitchen unit you could have for the child, and a dollhouse, and that way. And these are all open-ended, which allows the child's creativity to flow.
Wow. I would love to be in this house, in this space. And I can go back to my childhood to be in this place. Okay, tell me something. This is a question that cropped in my mind just now. So many zones. Is it like you need a huge space?
So not really. Yeah, it sounds like that. They require a lot of space for doing this kind. No. in a small space, all this can fit in. And that's what is the expertise of ours to do it in. And plus, we kind of help them with the toys also to buy in and all. So in that little small space, lot of things can come in and the child can enjoy the space and they become the master of their own space. They become so independent.
Wow. Beautiful, isn't it? Awesome. Now we have got information from the expert. I want to know from the parent, how have you designed your room? And after listening to her, don't you think I have been thinking I want to redesign my room. So what's your thought on it?
So I have also seen this regarding this relaxing zone or sensory zone in your home through internet, or some therapist also told me that like space you need to be there in your house when the child has so much sensory things or behavioral issues. They can do calm there. They can sit and calm themselves. So that much space, actually I had not created that much in my house. But what I have done, no, I have make some trampoline arrangements. If he wants to jump, he can put it down and jump. Then I make a storybook cabinet.
Wow.
Different this apna socials and emotional kind of stories which they need to learn. So I have one closet wherein which I kept all the stories books which he wants to take. He will take and he can see. He turn the pages. He likes that. Then what I have done now, when I'm coming back home, I do with him some sensory things with water. Then I do that in the bathroom. So mess will not happen, or else you don't have to clean that much. So that I done in the bathroom. Or if I have to do something texture things, so then I take this kind of atta, suji and things and take a tub, and in that I make him to do that. Then after that I teaching. Even if the messes happen, you can't clean it everywhere.
Yeah.
You have to keep your hands, go to the bathroom and wash your hands like that. Then I kept, like she said, I keep all the toys at one place only. Not he can access easily. If you want something, you go there, take out and come and play here. So there is no such a mess will happen in the home.
So we have an expert and we have a scientist who has innovated her own. See, everyone has their space and they just try to, incorporate whatever and however they can. So I really think parents are scientists, parents of children on the spectrum and neurotypicals as well. So parents have to be scientists and innovators to keep keep innovating whatever best in their capacity. So that's great to know that yes, you are aware that yes, these corners are important. Space designing is important because yeah, it is. I think not just for neurodiverse. I think for neurotypicals as well. Even I would love to have a space where we can sit and have a cup of coffee with a book, a calming space, or maybe you said movement. So that was very fascinating for me. That yes, in the kind of homes we have currently, you don't have enough open spaces to go to. So having a little bit of movement is so great. Wow. So, very important question is like, why design a playroom? Generally we are accustomed to a study room or maybe, something like that. So, why and what is the importance of a playroom?
So actually, the research says that first 7 years of child's life play is so important, and which play unstructured play. So that's when this thought came in that then it's very important to design a playroom so that the child can play. And when the child can play, which is loosely supervised by an adult, where they are the master of their own space and they can take out their toys and all and then play by themselves, like basically they are leading. So, which is so important. That's why the focus is to have a playroom. And this analogy, I would take it from a kitchen. So, if with my own journey, I realize my kitchen is very organized. Like, if I have to cook something, I know where the ingredients are kept. Just take it out, put it together, I can make a recipe.
Correct.
And that's exactly for a child. For them, the playroom, when it's so organized, if they are playing with magnet tiles and they want to add animals to it to make it like a farmhouse, or maybe like they want to do a garage by taking out. So everything is just kept out, kept out in the sense it's stored so well, plus access to a child. The child can access it. They can just take it out and they can start and they get into deep flow of play. So that's how the whole thing came in the to have playrooms, at least in home, which also gives to a child that for parents, it's so important, like they're understanding and valuing the child solely when you need that space in the house.
Yeah, we need to have this shift in thinking that yes, study room is important, but play room is important as well. Because as you said, the study says 7 years of initial years of life of a child are spent in playing. So might as well structure it well so that the play is also, as I think a parent might be thinking that with play, how can you incorporate learning?
Yes.
So if it's structured well, I think it will work wonders.
Right. And then include a study table in it. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
but then have the space for play, means for children. And then while doing this, another thing to keep in mind is to have an open space in the center so that they have enough space for movement, to move around, to do things, to build on and all.
Correct. Correct. You were saying something, ma'am.
Also, I'm telling about this only. Say when you are this incorporating this play area in the house, it is a very good time to teach them everything. Like with ABCDs, kind of toys are coming, numbers toys are coming. So with them, you can teach the learning also, identifications also, and like this sensory. If you keep this sand shells and you can make shapes of numbers with them, for letters and words, and you can teach the spellings. You can do the addition, subtraction with that. So it is also very helpful to teach them in a playful manner.
Yes, there our scientist and innovator come right there. Great. And I'm very fascinated to know about what is yes space.
Yes space is coined by Janet Lansberg. So it's a space which you kind of create for your child where the child feel like confident and independent to play around and you know the child is safe. Like there are no chances of accident happening while probably you have corners which are being like they're rounded. So all that keeping in mind. So even if the adult is not there around, still the child feels safe and can play around. So that's the kind of a yes space where there's not much correction. Oh, don't touch this, don't do this. Or there are no like plug points where you may feel like, oh, as a parent, the child may put the finger in. So that kind of a safe space you make it for your child where every time is like a yes, okay, you can go in and just play.
Wow, that's a very valid point. These plug points and the sharp corners and all these things. Yeah, you have to be so very careful when the child is small. Like, let's not, allow her to be there. This might happen or that might happen. Yeah, which is so true. Have you experienced that, ma'am?
So regarding this means electric points are not there, but what happened? No, he has to put everything in the mouth, little things. Means when we go to the sensory plates, so we have that small water
Likes, yeah.
the sads and that sometime immediately take and put it in the mouth. So that can be dangerous if it goes in the stomach and have upset stomach. So we have to also observe that he can't put it in the mouth.
So, in children on the autism spectrum, we have seen they have quite a bit of sleep issues. So, how do you cater to that, ma'am?
So what happened now when my son is about 2 years, 3 years old. So like at that time he go to sleep at around 12 o'clock or so. And he again get up at after 2 3 hours at 3 o'clock in the night and started playing very fresh. Started playing here and there. Then we also have to wake up and stay with him because he was too small. So he is just waking up, play for 2 3 hours, again he go to sleep. So like there's a disturbed sleep, which is a main thing in the autism spectrum kids. So this will affect their means growing things, and more behaviors will come if if your sleep is not complete at one stroke. So that kind of challenges has come. So after that, he's going for the therapies and looking research. So I realized that when you go to sleep, you have to make a habit to the child. Make a very dark room not more lights. So because even what is in the autism spectrum disorder, no, the if you put a bulb, of some colors or something, the teacher these kids will started and observing that as a staring at that lights only. So very sensitive, very sensitive to lights only. They like to they look at the lights and then the sleepers go So I have to make sure that it is totally dark there. Then give headphones and give some calming musics with there is no much of words are there in that music. Means like if I give some this God's mantras to him, jap mantras and to listen to him, or otherwise some this autism sensory music also coming on the YouTube, see, that to listen to him. Then after certain times regarding his sensory issues, that the therapist suggests me do the joint compression. So give joint compression to the kids. Means frequently full the day, but it is not possible for me due to work. So I do it at the when he goes to sleep. So at that time I applying some oils or lotions on that his body and give the joint compression as the therapist tell me. So it's a lot of this work makes me pet, and it is more important to tell or you have to understand your child what is a dark time and what is a daytime. That concept should be clear to your child. Till that, you can't adjust his sleep tendencies. You have to sleep at 12 and you have to wake up at that time. You have to make a schedule for that. This is your sleep time only, and you can't wake up and play at this time. Then only it will gradually come down at this level.
Wow. Interesting. Ma'am, what do you incorporate while designing your room to cater to sleep?
So like we may be doing floor beds rather than doing a height one. So then when you're doing floor beds, the chances of like falling down just rules out. Then the other thing is that bed size, we try to keep in mind the child's like age and the height kind. And then accordingly, not like making too big double size beds and all, because sometimes that occupies the entire room space and there's no floor space then for them left to play around and all. So that's usually what we like keep in mind. Then couple of other things would be like, it's important that there's natural light coming in. Maybe not during that evening time you need it, but then there's at least natural light falling in the room throughout the day. And then maybe having soft lights in the night when they are sleeping off before, and then off the light when they are like completely making the room dark when they're sleeping. So this, and then sometimes to include in like if they require sensory inputs in the night to sleep in. So like a blanket or maybe stuffed animals, or if the child is comfortable with that, and the bed sheets and all. So all that to include these little elements. But yes, definitely there are differences because each child is unique. So that way we then customize it according to the child's need.
Wow. Also, ma'am, children on the spectrum do have a lot of sensory issues. So how have you taken care of that?
According to me, with my son, there are a lot of sensory issues. But he never means aloof himself from the sensory touch. He likes to touch that sensories, and if you give more, he become very much calm. If you not give him, then he struggle for something to
The curious mind.
yes, he's something to touch. So I make what I have done. If you buy something, go to the Amazon, even in your local shop. Correct. If you buy something specifically for the sensory things, it much costly. Correct. So better things. What I have done, that floor mats are coming. We keep outside the bathroom. That I bring. Then comes in a very much different textures manners. Some in grass manner, some in rough manner, some are soft, cushions like. But they are coming. So I bought that. And what I have done now, when he for his study time, means sitting at one place and do study. So at that time I put that mats and I make him to sit on that. Oh, every day different texture mats. So he can take that also. Like this. So he get that. While doing the activities, I give him that different textures and make a writing in that textures only. Then I give him trampoline if he wants to jump. If he has increased in jumping styles, and I give him do 100 jumps on this trampoline. and make counts also. So that numbers recognition is also done that time. So like this, I have done. Then I take him to the beach if I need. कि एक ही जगह जा जाके बोर हो रहा है. So then I take him to the beach. And then I later, means right now from since 2 years I've done, is the aqua therapy.
Okay.
Haan. Because, first I put him in the swimming, but that water temperature is too cold in the swimming pools. So he gets irritated.
Correct.
Because it's making him cold and first. So I make him to go to the aqua therapy because they use the lukewarm water and not the chlorine water in that. It's pure our natural water we are drinking. And it is it's lukewarm. It's temperature maintained. So he enjoys that. After around 1.5 years going, first 6 months he started very badly in that like aqua therapy. But after that he really enjoys now. He go inside the water and do all the activities inside the water also. He learned the swimming by himself.
Wow.
Now I taking him to the water kingdoms and
Now,
water parks. So these water and swimming things is your the best sensory means it's reinforced your you can give your sensory from this water leaks.
nice.
Because your texture things, how many times you will give?
Correct.
But if you go for swimming for half an hour to 45 minutes, the whole day the child become calm. Right.
So, how do you cater to sensory needs while you are designing the room?
So that's one of the important, I would say, space, like one of the, it's, I think it's a very important thing to keep in mind because yes, children require a lot of sensory input for the initial early years and especially children when on a spectrum. So what we do is like we have different materials which we kind of suggest also what to kind of buy in or to take it from your kitchen. So it could be like rice or you get ready sand if you don't have access to a beach or something. So then that same experience you can give it at home. And then you have colorful pastas, you can do uncooked pastas and make it like just put food color on it and use that. So these are little different sensory materials which you can create at home or you can get by it also. And with that, but then what happened, a lot of parents used to like kind of realize was to clean up the mess after that, how to do it. So that's when the idea came in like, why not have a sensory table where you can put the child can put that in and then a parent can set the boundary that it has to stay in the sensory table, not coming it out. Though they make this little accident, which is okay because they're children ultimately. But at least they're learning there are certain boundaries to do it in. So whatever the sensory material and all, we try to keep it above the child's reach, which only the adult can access. That's one. Then we have sensory tables where we tell like the parents like this is how you can kind of, so we actually walk through that whole thing also. It's just not we part of just getting things and putting it in and all, but then the whole process how to do this where you into your child is indulging in a sensory play. And then some which are like too extreme, not able to handle, or you want to do water play and all, that we suggest why not do it in the bathroom. So then it's easier to kind of clean up and the mess is less. Because sometimes that's a trigger point because for parents, yes, to clean up. And that was for me also. And that's how then I was like, oh, this needs to work because that's the child's need, how to do it around. And then doing it sometime on the floor with the, either you could have these big trays and all. So then there's enough space for a child to move around their hands and to feel all the sensory material.
So, my next question, a very practical one. See, so everybody does not have access to experts. So, what are those points that you would like to, share with our audience? What should a parent consider while making a room for children of the autism spectrum?
Okay. So something which they themselves can do it at home currently, like if they want to just do it now,
Yeah.
after watching this podcast,
Yeah.
they can do is first thing is to declutter. So look at the toys. First thing, whether it's age appropriate. Sometimes you have duplicate toys, so remove those out. Broken toys. Then, which it could be like there are passive toys. Like passive toys, basically like a battery operated toy which just would keep singing or have some loud music and all. So all these kinds of things can be just said bye bye to it. So it's basically declutter it, and once you declutter, then put it in organized like toy storages, like bins and all, which the child can access to. So that's like the two part, which is first the decluttering. Second is to do proper storage, which the child can use it independently without adult help. And then the third is try the walls can become like if it's too colorful walls and too much clutter on the wall, like visual clutter on the wall. So then try like either doing a neutral color or even white walls are very good. Just maybe a little spot of a cool color on it if required aesthetically to add in. But even the plain white walls like look very nice to do it in. And then have little open space for kids in the room. And the whole concept which comes in here is the parents have to remember is more like the joy of less. It doesn't mean the children need so many toys. They need less open-ended toys, which the child can engage for long hours. And their imaginative creation skills are more high in that. So that's how then they can start doing it.
So, how was the experience in school and the transition? How did that all happen?
So basically, when the COVID is get left, when lockdown has slowed down. So first I had done when he was 2.5 at that time. So what I done, I put him in my nearby at home playgroup type school was there. So she only taking at that because the COVID is fully not down that time. So she take only 5 to 6 kids there. So I admit him there at that school on the home based things. So there he start make verbal. There he there he started saying A B C D. So he started verbal at that time. So it is very much helpful for me. So he goes in the school environment, he understand what is school concept is there. So that much helped me. So around I think so 2 years I kept him there for the actual things. Then I put him in a normal school only because I consulted with few more therapists and doctors. So that keeping him in a normal school, he will try to understand it more. What is happening around him, how the people behaves, how the people sits, how the people talk. He will observe more. So I put him in one normal school nearby home. So for nursery, actually at that when I put him in a normal school, he was 4 years old. For according to it, he is actually eligible for the junior KG. But I put him in a nursery things, but because I want to give him more time to adjust and to learn both the things because immediately these neurodiverse kids can't learn. They need time to learn. So I put him in a nursery. Nursery first 3 4 months he doesn't adjust to stated teachers start complaining. He doesn't say it, he just roam around, not observing anyone, that like. But stable readily after means after Ganpati vacations or Diwali things, he starting means getting seated, listens to the instructions of the teachers, then evolve. Then even I make him that's for this the different kinds of competitions are coming. Make a tire, the costumes, the events are coming for that. Then he has to go wear that. Means that's not like that. I can't wear that.
Yeah.
When they will have that, yes.
Oh, nice.
He has don't have that close textures problems. I can't wear this. So I make him tiger like this. I make him teach him. I write and teach him. Say these 2 lines. So he tell that teacher sends me the videos that he's telling, he's talking. So he's even told us ki he's showing very good improvement in the chat. Then he goes to junior KG. That time also writing is a little bit of issue with him. But one there's a helper is sitting with him, and then if he make him initial stage of writing help, then later he on doing that. Behavioral things, not more complaints there at that end. Little bit of that, but I'm okay with it. That with that at least he's doing something. But when he go to senior KG last year, his behavioral is drastically changed because of the academical things are more increased. Writing things are more increased. He doesn't like because every day new topics are coming on the board. Because when I talk with the therapist, they said कि A B C D 1 2 3 चल जाता है. But इसने था when it gets more complicated, then their brain take very longer time to accept this. कि ये नहीं करना मुझे because it's not easy for them to understand. So they need some space. But this our school setups system in our it is not yes there are guidelines, but it is not as per that. So they don't understand this. And when this kind of not as per their way, they start showing behaviors. Okay. And the behaviors are increase so much in that senior KG period. When he enjoys the, our events, competitions, or some these apna festivals, organizations happening in the school, Rangoli, yeah, there's a Holi, correct, Diwali celebration, Christmas celebration. He is used to enjoy that, everything. But right now, what happened in the senior KG, when he come and some event are going on, he started cry very badly when the event gets started. So his teacher started saying, don't send him to school.
But there must be some reason, right? When a child was
He's just making scenes here. He's disturbing everyone. So don't send him. I think so, he doesn't like it. So don't send him for that.
must be some trigger point, right?
Yeah. Something is there, but they don't have. When I try to talk with the teachers, they say we are not trained for this. We are not specialized in this. I will keep some shadow teacher for him for this. We don't allow shadow teacher. It is our policy. We don't allow. Okay, don't keep it. I will come for the next 1 month. You see what I'm doing. Then you apply. That is also not acceptable by the school. So the all options they make me closed for the child. So 1 year what I've done then, I send him for the exam only. After exam done, I take him back to home. Like this is senior KG done. But for this is a 1 year whole period. So he understand if I want to run from here, what I have to make a kiosk here. He learned that. कि मैंने ऐसा किया तो ये लोग मुझे छोड़ देते हैं. He's applied that because neurodiverse that much intelligent. Okay, how to escape from the situation. So he knows how to make him trigger this. The teacher, he even give us punches in the teacher's chest also for this after some time. So from that defense, then I decided I have to put him in a special way because these schools are not accepting these children. He needs some kind of environment. Who know this? So I admitted him in special school there. So in the special schools, they have actually very good environment. They teach cooking. They teach dailies of activity living. Means how to wash your face, how to wash your hands. Yes, this thing, basic things. How to apply bread some 1 day is for sports only. And like this, academical also going on with this. So I'm happy with it. At least no one is complaining. They're telling what to do or what is happening, and the suggestion objections are going on. But at least this he's not doing. Take your child to home. That is not happening.
At least they're working at your place. And not
when I don't have shame, I'm working. So I don't have to run again, come to school and take my child to home. That is not happening right now. Then when he was 3 years old, that time I come with my nearby is a Mariposa Foundation is there. So I'm searching for a therapist actually, and I'm looking around. That time I found there. So I approach Sejal. She's the owner of the Mariposa. So she tell me, she's good. So she's told me what they are doing, what is it. So initially he goes for a OT and a speech therapist also coming there at that time. So speech also he's going there, but he goes go for a therapist and come down. Full time he's not there because at that time his normal school are going on there. So it's at the afternoon time. But when last year, when he's senior KG and that time, I really need because my mother-in-law is very old. So at that time, I really need it because if the kid is not busy, he will start increasing it, creating a kiosk. At home also, she's not also at peace of mind and the child is also not. So I approached Sejal, mother. So she told me we are started now, so 3 hour school time type of school, like special school. You can admit him here and we will do the things. So I have admitted there. So at the afternoon time, he go there. And still he busy. Means he's learning, so he's not wasting time, something, if we don't have time as a working parents. So he's learning, so then she's making very hard effort. Yes. And she asks for our suggestions, कि तुमको क्या चाहिए? Very true. So she asking me, Varsha, what you want to cover? Tell me, I will cover that. So that the teachers also doing, and it is very, like a thing, a holistic manner.
Yeah.
Not typical things you learn by book and do this. नहीं यही करना है, यही करना है. No, a very holistic approach she is doing, and it is very much calmed down my burden actually. After the time, what my child will do. So that is happening at. So since at the last 1.5 years he go to Mariposa, he improved very much. Initially he not able to sit in a circle time. Initially do circle time, means singing a song, so read the stories. Now he sits there. He enjoys there. And she's cover everything. Even her sensory things, calming things, art and craft things. She covers everything as per your name. Dance things, if she implement things she wants. So it's everything he gets covered. So what is now at least full day, something he is doing. He's learning. Yes, he's busy. And what every time now, in these things, we need our family support. So due to that, it is not possible. But what happening now, our schedule is also very busy. Okay, after evening time, I can give. I'm giving it full. I'm not doing anything. Just I'm concentrating on my child also. But if you do same work over and over again, you will get fed up. Someone needs to replace you for some time. Then again, you can do work. That is need to be in this kind of things. Actually, my husband's work also is like very occupied things. Every time calls and that. But he's adjusting. When he gets time, I told him to do this. He's doing for that. So this kind of support you need. Alone you can't do anything. We need a support.
So this leads to my next question. How do you balance your work and your child?
So I have a when I go to therapies too. I attend, if you know, Rajni Singh, the special educator. She's also giving the guidance of autistic children. I joined her session also, live session. That's our hard session. Yeah.
Right.
At Andheri, she hold that sessions for 2 days. So I attended that. In that I realized कि medication will not work. Means she's totally against the medications of that. And how to work on your child. So that time she said, आपका totally पूरा दिन का visual schedule आपके child के लिए होना चाहिए. कि सुबह उठने से रात के सोने तक वो क्या करना चाहिए. वो आपके wall पे लगा होना चाहिए. कि सुबह उठ के उसका क्या करना है, कौन से टाइम में क्या करना है. He needs to that. If he has a visual schedule, he gets occupied and his brain triggering कि अभी उसको क्या करना है. Like this. So I put that visual schedule. I start working on that. Then after that, according to my job's timing, I make him busy what he has to do. So when he get up in the morning, 9 o'clock, he has a 9:45 school. So he get up, he goes to toilet by himself. He has to clean up himself, come, wear his clothes, do something to eat, and then go to school. Around after 2 hours and 1.5 hours, he come back home. I told him, where you keep your bag, where to keep your cool clothes. And then then I make him to do your bathing on your own. We will not. Initially we have to make him because he don't know how to make a bath, how to apply, how to sew, how to take water. So I make him that. So he takes time. Not if what is a quick response things is not present in the child. You have to get prompt and things every time. But I make him that how to brush your teeth, how to make your bath. Then he do that. Then I instructed at home. If there is a sukha vegetable is there, then he will eat with whole hands. If the gravy things is, then he will start as messy things and the cleaning everywhere on the. So that is not still started. But this dry vegetable and chapati is there. He had to eat with his own hands. You don't have. Maid also I told him you don't feed him. You just make this pikda pieces in the chapatis and tell him to eat himself. You just sit. You don't feed him. That type long. Then he go to Mariposa. That till the Mariposa time has come. Then he go to Mariposa. He come back. Then 2 hours his spare time. In that he's play. He's a means the swing in the house. Or his father is there. Then he will do massage and then join compression in that time. That will there. Then otherwise he play with his younger one. Not likely to play, but he's is there. He's enjoy his ones if he's there out around him. Like this will happen when I go to by 6, 7 in the evening. When I come back, then I will start my things. Means first I read him story. That is my first thing to make him sit on the gym ball because this setup is not comfortable for him. They just the gym ball sitting and gym ball spare because it's a soft one and bouncy things. So he sit him on that and then I tell him the stories. Then I make him tell me ये क्या showing image ऊपर का मत पढ़ो because they know how to read. So image देख के बोलो क्या कर रहा है. You have to use your imaginations. Keep the words. तो he started now doing that. So वो होने के बाद फिर थोड़ा सा movement based activities उसका. Yoga is very much important. When if your kid 6, 7 है ना, you start doing yoga with him. Yoga make him very means compression things. Your sensory things very go down with the yogas. Right? Yes. So yoga is very important. Make him do breathing exercises, om chanting. That is very helpful in the make the kids calmer. So after that, then his dinner time will come. He eats dinner. Then after dinner, I will not do any movement based activity. Then it's a fully sitting time. You have to sit at least 1.5 hours. Then I make him to do very things, maths, English, like worksheets things, sort of activity-based workbooks, coloring. That's things I'm doing till 11:30 or 12 o'clock maximum. Then I will make him go for your means routine, bathroom वगैरह things. Come, make your bed. Oh, make your bed. Every day thing not do, but at least putting down and things he do it. Making in a shade, he does. At the time of sleeping, I give him massage with the oil also. And I want to know, he is a visual sicky. He likes some, every time he has issues of looking everything from the eyes of the corner. Visual stimming is there, too much in him. So I make a disco bulb in my bedroom. So when he sleeps, I'd make a dark. I will first start for 10 minutes that disco bulb. So the disco lights are roaming around. So he likes to see that. So which make his eyes very much calmer. So while looking that, and if he has so much verbal stimming, then you can enjoy this vocal stimming that one. Then I'm giving a chewy tube to chew. So this massage will happen like that. So this type of I'm giving it, and then he will go to sleep nicer. So it makes his body better calm to do that.
So to say, we have had a very fruitful and a creative session today. We have designed our dream spaces, taking care of our children for sure. So thank you so much for all your insights. But before we end, we need one message from you both. So starting with you, ma'am, for our audience.
So I think so unstructured play is very important. That's the child's birthright. So I think so as parents, it's important that you create a space for them where they can get into deep flow of play, which is uninterrupted. And they can enjoy, they become the master of that space. So keeping in mind, especially for the first 7 years of their life, unstructured play is very important. So as parents, please, I request you that you give that much of time for children. And plus it needs to be uninterrupted. Because it has a lot of benefits, which probably you may not see it now, but maybe that will be more in the adult life, GNC.
Wow. Thank you so much for that message. Over to you, ma'am.
So regarding this neurodiverse, I'm telling you, it is applicable to both neurodiverse and neurotypical also. Parents has to give time to their children. If you don't give time, you don't know, you can't find out what is the problem with the child's. What is your child doing? Even if he has school, he brings something or he's telling you something, or are you asking him what he every day do go to school, what he did, Till that, you didn't realize what is happening in the school. Just putting him in a school or something, sending the neurodiverse to the therapies, it doesn't cover your work, or your work is over. You have to work on him. Even you're a neurotypical also, and on your neurodiverse also. On neurodiverse more, neurotypical less. But you have to make sure that they are under your observations, and what the child is asking every time, and they're showing behaviors does not mean things you have to fulfill his wish every time. You have to make him learn. Okay, every time you make a demand or something as per go on his way is not possible. Then only the child will realize every time asking something or making something chaos, the mommy or mom and parents will listen to us. So you have to know how to control them with that.
Great. A nice quick tip. Thank you so much, both of you, for all your insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you.